your dog?
My dog went flying through the air over the trees. I don't know how it did it.
Okay.
Damn it, I'm really confused. All I saw was my dog coming over the fence, and he was dead when she hit the ground. I didn't see any cars. All I saw was my dog coming over the fence.
What?
What are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal or?
Jesus Christ, you better...
Sure.
See ya!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
Son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh. Okay, hang on.
He's right...
Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
He's looking at me.
Somebody along the line said that the universe is not only stranger than you think, it's stranger than you can think.
There's a statement I use: if you're green, you grow; if you're ripe, you rot. So I like to stay green until I'm not here anymore. Just keep learning, because that's what it's all about.
And welcome to the show, everybody. You're listening to Bigfoot and the Citizen Scientist podcast. I'm your host, Tyler, and I want to thank you for being here. If you've had an encounter or a story you would like to share with me, shoot me an email. My email address is sciencemeetsbigfoot@gmail.com, or you can call the podcast voicemail line. That number is 641-715-3900. That's 641-715-3900. Make sure you type in extension 448-449 once you get connected. And also, please be sure to leave your contact information so I know who and how to contact back if you are wanting me to contact you back, that is. I've been spending the majority of my time up at research camp. Since being up there, I've had some pretty unexplainable things happen and have acquired some game cameras, audio recorders, and recently, a thermal imager. So I am very eager to see if I can catch something on video or audio. I do have plans to start uploading videos to the Bigfoot and the Citizen Scientist podcast YouTube page, but I am taking forever to do so, as I have no training on video editing or even publishing at that, and am having to learn on the fly. I also spend most of my time at either work or camp, and have no power supply for my laptop at my research spot, so I'm stuck doing video and podcast stuff when I come back into town to resupply, and spend a couple nights a week in my bed. I always have audio and video recorders going though, even when I'm not there, so be sure to keep your ears and eyes open for both podcast episodes and soon-to-be YouTube videos documenting research camp and my findings. Okay, moving on. Today, I bring back Connor Flynn, aka Bigfoot Anonymous, to talk further about his books, including some new material, his research, and some encounter stories. You won't want to miss this two-part episode. He brings some new information to the table, some jaw-dropping discoveries, and some insight into the Florida Sasquatch. So buckle up and get ready for a hot and sweaty ride into the Florida Panhandle. It's been good, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just got home hiking when I messaged you, and I was hiking with my buddy from Tristan from Hidden Relief, and we went to these mounds. And we pulled in real quick, and there was these two workers, and I was like, hey, we're here to take some photographs of the mounds. Cool if I go back there? They're like, talk to the boss. And they were just packing up, and he's like, hey, I'm about to leave, so do what you gotta do and get out. And then so we took some pictures, but they were really hard to find because there's a bunch of stuff back there, debris, and like abandoned boats. And then there's a bunch of honeybees too, being worked on. So just had to be careful, and didn't have enough time really to truly give it a good go. So he actually was really interested, and he invited us back for tomorrow. So I'm off tomorrow as well. So I'm going to probably go earlier in the day so I can take my time and see it, because there's 5 mounds, and they all align with the winter the winter equinox and the summer solstice. So it's really magical. And I'm looking for arrowheads or giant bones and pottery and just remnants of the past, of course. I went on another trail too, and this guy on a boat freaking followed us, and I was just trying to meditate in the woods at this new path, but he had a houseboat, and I think he thinks we were like stealing or snooping, and I understand that, but it was just bad timing for everybody.
Oh yeah. I get that.
For sure.
What have you been up to, buddy?
Oh man, I went to Infinity Con, over in Tallahassee. I had a Bigfoot tape on everything, so that was like remarkable talking to people. I interviewed a police officer, another guy that photographed Bigfoot, another guy that went to a bar every summer that had a big photograph of the skunk ape. So a lot of like firsthand witnesses that I didn't even have to speak out; they just naturally found me. So it was just like, you burst your bubble of comfort and magical things happen. And I've burst my bubble long ago. I talk about, Bigfoot and ghosts publicly all the time to people, trying to raise awareness, of missing people. And they laugh at me a lot of the times, but I know it sticks with them. But then I know you saw Zillafoot just came out too. And I was cryptid research officer. And that hopefully is going to be a big catapult to other roles in other cryptid movies, because it's like a cult-like cinema experience. These kaiju monsters summoned by alien creatures, and then they have these dorky, wild military scientists, president. It was hilarious, and I'm proud of it. It's going to be a sequel, so I already know I'm going to be back in it, and hopefully step up the game even more to the next level.
Nice. And, you wrote a new book, from what I understand.
Yes, a couple of them.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah. So let's get into your books real quick.
Yeah, for sure. It's all a trippy memory. Trying to go back to when we last sat together and did our interviews. I don't know if I had them published, but I knew they were in progress, of course. But since then, I got 3 of them published. Eerie Swamps, Road Trip to Eden. That is my baby. That is like my journal and my diary. It documents my journey from Lake Erie down to the Florida swamps. And the last chapter is reflective. It ends in Eden, where life began. 27 of the 28 trees in the Bible are in that park, on that trail. The delta that breaks into 4 rivers, like the good book says, sits right there. Gopher wood, that's what Noah used to build the ark. The lightest and strongest wood. It's known as Torreya. The only place that kind grows in the whole world is right there. And Stacy Brown, he actually did the best civilian thermal footage with his father one night. And, Finding Bigfoot and a bunch of other programs covered it. And it was an 8-foot tall creature. Cliff Brackman went to on site, and we've been hiking there recently. We had a boulder thrown behind us. We've seen a bunch of twist offs and tree bends. And Donnie Miller actually went there recently. He's been on Bigfoot Odyssey, and he's just a great man. He's a big mentor to me just of recent times, and I can't wait to check out his property and meet his goats and hear about all his stories, because he has had crazy stuff in Panama with cat people, a whole species of people that love shrimp, and countless Bigfoot encounters that he almost got killed and kidnapped by a Bigfoot in Mariana, the Mariana Caveman. And that's where I work and, hike pretty much every single day. So it's very chilling that those things are out there and aggressive. But there are some, pleasant ones out here, of course, too, that, give you guidance in the forest, and they're just trying to connect with nature, just like hikers and fishermen, of course. But the final chapter ends, in the Garden of Eden, and it's a truly magical place. And I've had strange encounters on the 4th time, and with these creatures, I've photographed them. We've found bones in the creek. I know you've seen the articles, and it was on Coast to Coast. Thank you, Tim Banal, and Discovery Channel actually reached out to us. But yeah, Ninja Ronnie found this in a creek, and hopefully we could get it tested here soon. I'm super excited. and it's petrified. It's very heavy. It's almost bigger than my thumb, and the details on it are amazing. It's truly magnificent. And we're hopefully going to take it to the Florida Bigfoot Conference this next month. And, Cliff's going to be there. So I can't wait to meet a mutual friend with you. And I'm going to talk about you with them and meet Bo and Stacy Brown. It's going to be remarkable. But that was my first book. And then the second one is my hard research, Big Brother Bigfoot. That is my documentation on strange creatures that I've researched across America, across Florida, even upside in Canada, when I was a young gentleman. And the Susquehanna seal, the Mogollon monster, what the heck are the creatures in Big Bear Lake, California, the wood boogers and the boogeyman and the chupacabra, tons of strange creatures, the Honey Island swamp monster. I got a picture of a strange carcass when I was in Louisiana. And a lot of people say it's a bloated gator, but I see hair and translucent skin, and it's not green or dark brown, it's like a light brown tan. And then behind that, we got this. It's a tree peaker. And if you could see the eye right in the center, then you could see the dark face. And that's in the Honey Island swamp. And that's right next to Space Testing Zone and a bunch of other cool legends and lore with Native American mounds. And then Hatchet, the movie with Victor Crowley, he kills everybody that comes into Honey Island Swamp. So it was on my bucket list that I had to go check it out. So I hit up New Orleans, Biloxi, and Moss Point, right on the Pascagoula River, where the two men were abducted by aliens. So we had the Rougarou, aliens, Bigfoot, sea creatures, and the monster, the Pensacola.
Dude.
It's so fulfilling to get out there and pop the bubbles. And I'm just trying to be a researcher of many different things. I'm an investigative journalist, I'm investigating missing people, murder suspects. A girl just got strangled here in town and no justice is being served. I'm gonna make a video here soon and hopefully it leads to something, I don't know if I have to track it down myself like freaking Sherlock Holmes, but I have to, the Florida man strikes back again. And then the third of the series, Monsters and Mysteries Around the Corner. And that talks about how you don't have to watch horror movies and graphic novels because scary things will find you. So it just talks about my journeys, pretty much road tripping from Florida to California and then Ohio up in there. I talk about my home growing up and, being chased in the woods. And I broke my collarbone being chased by something when I was younger, and a steel or a metal post, that they put in gardens, like a garden stake. I was running and it hit my collarbone. It pierced my face and like cut my lip real bad. It was crazy. And a lot of people thought I was drunk, but something chased me in the woods. It didn't really break out of the tree line, but it scared me enough that I, ran beelining it, not stopping in anything. But yeah, it's pretty wild. And then I just finished my fourth book called Adventures of Countryman and Sabercat. And that talks about my journeys with me, the countryman, and then my buddy Ninja Ronnie, who is the Sabercat. They call him Sabercat because he's always finding prehistoric stuff, shark teeth, giant bones, bunch of seashells and weird fossils, tons of turtle shells, fossilized skull, a lot of cool things. So it documents our journey. We've been caught up in rainstorms, kayaking, and then we've been pushed out of the woods by strange creatures that are bigger than us. I also took other pictures. This one is my baby that I really love. This is this Florida skunk ape. We got this just zooming in on 0.25 speed. You see crazy things in the woods when you watch it like that. There is a whole new world that the camera picks up and that your eyes don't pick up and your ears. There's total frequencies in this ecosystem and realm that, they're playing full attributes on, and us humans were blocked off to most of it. So I'm just trying to open my doors in as many ways I can to communicate with these creatures and learn from the forest.
All right. Well, I meant to ask you. I carried a conversation with somebody yesterday, and we were talking about the skunk ape, and he was telling me about a story about an old lady who was having issues with a skunk ape on her property, and she would tell people, and then no one believed her. And so one day, like the skunk ape was like right by her porch and whatnot, messing around, and so she took her Polaroid out. I think it was a Polaroid camera. It was one of those like single shot cameras, and she opened up her door and stuck her hand out the window and flicked it. And I don't know if you've seen this, but I might have to send it to you. Yeah, I'm gonna have to send it to you. I'll send it to you right now. What's that?
Okay, yeah. I said, yeah, I've seen that, of course. Yeah.
You know that. And my buddy was pointing out like little intricacies, like you can see where the shoulder meets the neck, the neck, and then you can actually see like the fingertips down like below like the palm leaves. Like that's crazy, dude. Like
very, very cool. And you've seen both pictures, right? Because there's two different pictures and it shows movement of the faces. Like, you know, he changes his mouth a little bit. And clearly that picture is a little bit different than Patty, of course, you know, because that one has sharp teeth and is a little bit more like an ape. It's like the skunk ape. But what's cool is the original, you know, terminology of that name. It doesn't come from the bad smell like a skunk. There's actually one in the panhandle that had a white stripe right down its head. So they called that one the skunk ape. It's really cool. But the oldest story, you know, that's still kind of under wraps is the Ocheesee Pond Wild Man, the one that was captured in the 1800s and that was taken to the Chattahoochee Hospital. It lived there for 3 years, then it died. And they buried it amongst thousands of other graves and built a building on top. But of course, they could still get to it if they want. But, you know, I think they have many of these creatures and bones of the mound builders. And, you know, they have DNA of whatever they want to have. So, you know, going through all that, I don't think it's really even worth it to them. But that's also a reason why I don't think it's on these TV shows, because it's such a cool story and it might be pretty concrete because it was on the cover of the New York Times. So people cannot deny it. So it's some kind of wild story. And 2 Egg TV just actually released a 3-part documentary that they talked about 4 stories: a skeleton being found in a tree, a giant skeleton, a man who had long hair on his skin, you know, like that werewolf Mexican children disorder.
Oh yeah.
For those people. But one guy escaped into the forest and that's what he had. And another kid, he got kidnapped by a Bigfoot and luckily escaped after like a night. And then of course the one that was captured by the Native American gatherers and of course the Civil War veterans. So yeah, it's just so wild, all the stories that are over there. And people still have sightings to this day. I've interviewed like 4 or 5 people. One guy, he's a radio professional, and he has the frequencies in his hearing aid that he can control, and he can listen deep into the swamp, and he can hear them breathing. So that's pretty trippy, and that's some next level investigative journalism. So I'm all for it. I take the kayak out there and battle the gators and the cottonmouths. It's really cool.
Dude, oh my gosh. Oh man, dude, I'm so I wish I lived over there. I want to go investigate out there so bad.
I want to investigate where you're at too, so it'd just be so nice, man. Just the last year's been just so freaking crazy with everything. It's very sad. I'm got a planned trip to meet with my dad in September for his birthday, so I'm super excited about that. And I'm going to the Everglades and the Skunk Ape headquarters, you know, where Dave Sheehy had his encounter and has a bunch of, you know, museum type setups. So I'm super excited about that. And I'm going to the Florida Bigfoot conference next month. So excited about that too. So hopefully something naturally, you know, can get everything back to normal. And I know Portland and Oregon have a little bit tight restrictions on everything. That's what's been tough from Florida to out west. But hopefully I can make it happen.
We're loosening up a little bit. I think it's like at the beginning of next month we're supposed to be mask free, so I think that's the goal.
Hopefully, man, you know, people need to start seeing each other and immune systems will go back up because just people are so scared right now. I think the human will has just been a little bit broken, or at least disrupted recently. It's very sad.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, let's. I'm kind of curious, man. You've been in on some podcasts with interviews, doing some interviews, discussions, and I see a roundtable discussion. Can we talk about the when was it? It was December 28th of last year. Or right around that date, you sat down with Bluff Creek Project podcast roundtable.
Yeah.
Did you remember anything about that?
Yeah, it was awesome. Carl Crew, he's an actor, and his uncle Jerry Crew was one of the most famous guys from the Bluff Creek incident. And then Tate, he made a incredible documentary. And then Jonathan from the Western, Bigfoot, he made an incredible documentary. So it was just so cool to sit down with those guys. And I forget what the other guy's name was. It might be Donnie, but he was also very knowledgeable, and he was a BFRO guy, I'm pretty sure.
I think is that Damon Irons?
Damon Irons. Damon Irons. He was awesome too. Very knowledgeable. He spent a lot of time in the forest. And that was an honor too. And it was like after midnight for me because it was a West Coast thing. Yeah. And I had to ask a bunch of questions. And, I came with like the spiritual stuff and like magic. And a couple of them kind of laughed at me. At least Carl laughed at me. But it was in good fun. Like, he's a big teaser guy. And I appreciate him. He owns like a oddities museum out in California. So he doesn't hold back. And I could appreciate that because I'm fire and he's fire. So we just match like that. And it was very cool. And looking back at it, it was just an honor. And I can't wait to be back on another roundtable. I messaged him for a couple other ones, but they were filled up already. So I was kind of sad. But I love just hopping on shows and just making things happen. Like I did a climate change, global warming conspiracy podcast earlier this morning, and that was really cool just to stir it up. So it's been very cool. And then I actually co-host on Horror Talk through Gypsy Road. He's a YouTuber. He has about like 14,000 subscribers and built a beautiful community based on like Mandela effects and Bigfoot and UFO encounters. And then we have a mixture strange for horror movies and psychedelic thrillers and just things that really push boundaries of reality. So we started this podcast called Horror Talk. Well, he actually started it and then brought me on as a co-host. So every Tuesday and Thursday, we talk about scary movies and also just ties to the horror world. And like last night, we did a comic book episode, and then we do werewolf episodes and vampires. It's very cool. Zombies. So I'm really spreading my wings. And then I've also communicated with a bunch of YouTubers like Mogion Monster, Central Florida Bigfoot, Squatch Talk. And I've gotten in great conversations and heated debates. And then one person actually stole this picture. My mom and I took this picture October 5th, 2017. And I still have the files on my phone and everything. I have like 10 different pictures. And this actually made its rounds because some Canadian guy in 2021 February said that he found it, and it actually made its rounds and it got investigated. And a lot of people were picking it apart, and they were like, "Oh, it has to be a person's because there's an arch right here." And of course, these different creatures have different type of feet. But if you read into my book and dig into my research, I talk about feral people. There are homeless people that haven't seen a light of civilization in years that live by the railroad. So if I take, a picture of evidence, that's just me documenting the forest. So I don't hold myself to anything like, oh, it has to be Bigfoot, it has to be Dogman. I'm Connor Flynn, and I'm just a researcher. I'm just documenting stuff. So no, I'm not embarrassed for putting that on my cover because I took it. Someone was trying to paint me like, oh, I took it from this Canadian guy in 2021. If you do the research, this book was published before then. So come on, guys.
I like it. So other than the Bluff Creek Project podcast, which is actually Bluff Creek Project is a research group out of California, if I remember correctly. Well, I know it's out of California, but I'm pretty sure that's a research group. And it's kind of like what is it? It's Monster X Radio is Shane Corson from the Olympic Project, and he comes on and gives updates on their findings. So I think it's something similar to that, isn't it? Do you know?
I just know Tate is a big part of it, but I do remember it was like a full team of like 6 guys. I honestly don't know how it was distributed. I know he has a short film coming out soon. He just had a Kickstarter or GoFundMe up for it. And I hope big things for Tate. So then hopefully people will go back to his old interviews and just be like, oh, yeah, this is a great combination of people. Because seriously, Carl Crew, he's an ex-Hollywood star. I think the movie's called Blood Diner. That it's like the devil and he has to sacrifice, and it's so crazy, and it's like the Illuminati coming to life in his movie. And to talk to this guy like an 80s child star is like pretty goofy, and he didn't cut me no slack, so it was pretty funny hearing him crack jokes on me. So I'm glad to be the hippie guy that brings the spiritual side, because that's what the Native Americans do. That's what the Aussies do. Come on, that's what they're doing in Africa. That's how you communicate with these guys. You got to open up the doors of perception. Come on, Jim Morrison.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, I know you've been on so many podcasts. I'm going through your page, tracking them all down, because I mean, every single one I've seen, the Southern Spectre podcast.
I love that one too.
Yeah,
he had a great voice, and he does storytelling on TikTok all the time now. So I love tuning into it, and I really hope he pops off. He reminds me a lot of Dixie Cryptid.
Okay, and then for all those horror fans out there, you did a guest spot with Horror Talk.
Yeah, right? That's the one that I'm the co-host for.
Oh, so you're co-host with Horror Talk.
Yup.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about that.
Every Tuesday and Thursday.
Oh yeah, tell the listeners a little bit more about that.
Yeah, Horror Talk is awesome, man. It's through Gypsy Road. His name's Eric, and then his brother Dr. Wu is a scientist that he used to work at the Smithsonian, and now he lives in the UK. Eric is ex-military and a movie extraordinaire, and they're just a combination of explorers, and they love the Mandela effect. And I first linked up with them talking about Sasquatch as the extraterrestrial visitor probably like 8 months ago. And I was on a show like 4 or 5 more times talking about the Matrix and then Mandela effects, and just everything comes together. And then he asked me to be on Horror Talk, and then like 2 or 3 times later he said, you are a co-host when you're on here, because we just have an energy and we're friends. We talk out of the actual show. So it's very cool to go back and forth. And I love movies, and I have tons of movies, and I love having the props. And we bring, we've brought directors and then other people that I met from the Infinity Con, a zombie writer named Stephen O'Pry, cosplay extraordinaire. He was like the most famous Star Wars cosplayer. So, I got him on the show because he's like Dark Sidious. So I wanted to see what he had to say about horror movies. And it's very cool. And, like I said, I did an episode today, and that was through Gypsy Road. And we talk about crazy conspiracies, and he's built a nice community. And Horror Talk's just getting started, but it's something that I like looking forward to doing. And it's a laid back experience that I look forward to. Tuesdays are at 11 at night Central, and then Thursdays are at noon Central. So go ahead at night the first day, and then during the day on Thursdays. But tomorrow there won't be an episode because he's going to be in New York. But I'm very excited just for the future, because we've got a couple directors aligned, and then the same guy that was one of the directors for Zillafoot is making a Dogman movie, and I'm supposed to play myself again, like a cryptid research officer. So I'm going to bring back maybe my character from that movie, or I'm going to play like Connor Flynn. So I'm going to be looking forward to that, and that's going to be with the Bridge family. And the Bridge family is really famous because they were on, Finding Bigfoot, about that smeared hand that was on their glass door. That episode got, a pretty decent buzz. And that's right across from this abandoned High Lie arena that I'm really into. And that's the scary thing about Dogman, is they've been found down in like subway tunnels and abandoned warehouses. So I always have to go with someone or with protection in that area because it's just not safe, because dogmen and werewolf and lycanthrope are just unpredictable, and even they tear apart Bigfoot, so it's just no joke to play with them. Even like flares wouldn't do it. That would just ask for it, you know. So I got to play my cards right when I go over in Chattahoochee, 100%.
Gotcha. Yeah, that Finding Bigfoot episode where the lady had the grease smeared down on her window. I'm pretty sure it was that episode, and I might be incorrect. I might be mistaken, but I'm almost positive it was that episode that gave Doug Hychek the idea to test that slime for DNA, and he's been searching for that ever since. And I've been listening to Bigfoot and Beyond, and last time they had Doug on, I'm almost positive he said something along the lines of having a sample of that, and like they were needing to test it now. So
I like Doug a lot. I've been watching him on a couple podcasts recently. I think he was on Squatch Talk, and then he was on another one that I just admired his style. He's very laid back and doesn't need the best technology to record him. It's just like more being in the right spot and making the right choices is what it's about, and that's how I feel, of course, too. Because I have GoPros and stuff, but some people have like $5,000 cameras, and they say that's not even good enough. And if you want a good photo in Florida, it's very rare because there's not much sight and viewage, and it all looks the same. That's why the skunk apes thrive. And I think it's silly that people think like they're trapped down here. Like, yeah, Florida comes to like a little, skinny part, but guys, you know how big land is, and they have so much. They have acres and miles and thousands of square miles of roamage. It's just unpredictable what they do, and just these people are just unbelievable themselves that they think they know it all.
I know. I know what you mean.
They're like, they're stuck down in Florida. Like, no, they can go wherever they want. They're not stuck anywhere.
So tell us about you brushed over it earlier. Tell us about the Discovery offer. You had Discovery Channel hit you up?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Josh Gates and his new show, Expedition X, actually reached out to us after the Coast to Coast interview. They wrote a small article about the bone. There was a UK writer that contacted me on TikTok and wrote a small article, and it made a little buzz. And then they reached out to us and they interviewed us like 3 or 4 times, and they were very interested. And I gave them like 3 or 4 people's numbers around the area that all had sightings. So I was like building them, a nice story, and they wanted to put it into season 3, and the season 3 was already really going. So they were trying to squeeze it in. And now the producer that reached out to me is on maternity leave. So it's like literally a combination of like dominoes going in the wrong direction. But I'm not throwing in the towel yet, I'm optimistic to season 4. There's no end to this. They know that we have something very interesting, and they know that there's tons of stories still going on around here. So, hopefully they are still able to do it. I hope there's none higher beings that are like, nope, we can't talk about the Ocheesepa Wild Man. I don't know. It's strange, but I didn't throw all my marbles into it. I wasn't going all in. I'm not too worried about it either way. I was looking forward to it, but either way, I'm staying on my hustle. I'm remaining me. I'm looking forward to going to the Florida Bigfoot Conference and, meeting Cliff and Bobo, and I'm going to give them a couple of these pictures just with my information on it. That's basically my business card. And I can't wait to, rub shoulders with other names in the community, and a couple of people that are going to be there, probably don't like me too much just because I'm loud and outspoken, but that's what you need in this community, because we have the evidence. There's thousands of sightings. There have been thousands of reports since me and you sat down last. And it's like, come on, guys, we're still like prancing around this, walking on eggshells. Like, no, I listen to How to Hunt, Canada Cryptid, Dixie Cryptid, David Paulides, Scott Carpenter, pretty much every day. And they talk about new investigations and encounters and all of that every single day. So we got to stop acting like it's not happening, So I'm big on just pedal to the metal, neck on their, feet on their neck, and trying to just show them like, yo, It's real. Now try to just adapt so we can save lives, because people are going missing and the news isn't covering it. You know, out west, a lot of women are going missing at the national parks and no one's covering it. It's despicable. So I'm just trying to raise awareness for hunters and hikers.
Okay. Well, let's I want to talk about what Ninja Ronnie found. Was it the megalodon tooth?
Yes, it was awesome, man. The video is very cool. I wish I had it right now on me, but it's almost as big as my hand. And he found it in Apopka, which is a little farther away from here, so it's not right here in town. But he was like drunk at night, just in the creek, and found it, and he thought it was a spearhead, and it ended up being a giant megalodon tooth. And that's very cool. And a lot of people are like on TikTok are asking if it's a dinosaur tooth, and if maybe it's not a megalodon tooth. I'm pretty sure it's a meg tooth, but I appreciate their open-mindedness, you know. But
Yeah.
he is just a prehistoric man. He has so many other fossils, and I found a meteorite the other day. So even when you're with him, he just brings the energy, and it's very cool. One of his friends, actually, one of his cousins, they claim they're both Native American. So somewhere they've adopted each other, you know. I can appreciate it. But he posts, like, I was on Facebook and I'm in this like mineral group, you know, and this guy had a handful of meteorites, and I'm like, oh, that's dope. And I look closer and his name was Cody. And it's the dude I actually interviewed about a dogman encounter that it rose to about 30 feet tall, taller than the trees, and then vanished to the sky. It got like 3,000 views on overall on YouTube and, you know, Instagram and stuff. Is very cool. And a lot of people were hating on it, and a lot of people loved it and said, oh my gosh, that's magical. It's crazy. But it was just so crazy because he posted on the Facebook, and then I was kind of like jealous. I'm like, oh man, like, I'm jealous of that guy. And then I see that it's my buddy, so I start messaging him, and he's like telling me what to look out for. Then like 2 days later, I go to a cave and I'm digging in the ground, and sure enough, I find a meteorite. And of course, it was so dope. And then he said it's worth $2,500 because it rusts gold. You know, I'm not running to the bank with it, but I weighed it. 7 grams exactly. What are the odds that I find a 7-gram meteorite? Super freaking cool, you know, a quarter of an ounce, 7 grams exactly. That's like perfection. Oh man. And you know, it pulls with magnet and everything. It's magnetic. It's truly magical. But it looks just like coal. You know, I'm sure thousands of people find it every year and then just toss it out like it's nothing. So the hunt continues. We got to find more. That and mastodon vertebrae.
Dude, that's freaking awesome, dude. Oh my god. Wow. So he just like, that's almost sounds like, I was gonna say he sounds like a lucky dude, but I think it's probably a little beyond luck if he keeps finding these things.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. You know, mind over matter. You got to prepare yourself even the days before. He's all about it. He actually stayed at Fort Lewis. He trained at Fort Lewis out in, you know, West Coast, and they're so famous for Sasquatch sightings. How to Hunt just reported that a couple have been shot dead on the grounds on the fort. So a lot of crazy stories. And when he was there, they just said, watch out for big animals. And he's like, a bear, a moose? No, they're like, no, big animals. So they never like were really clear with Ronnie, but it's very cool. And I'm looking forward to my book dropping. I'm treading my water right now because we're doing the Florida Bigfoot conference, and we're doing a hike and a camp that night after with like Tim T and Central Florida Bigfoot, a bunch of cool professionals. So I like want to keep that as like the final chapter, you know. Right now, final chapter is Infinity Con and beyond, because you know at Infinity Con it was at the haunted Florida State campus, so we were right by the Ted Bundy murders, and also there's a brown furry ghost that is seen harassing students after dark. What does that mean? That's a Sasquatch to me. That's like a phantom squatch. So it's very interesting, you know, being on the grounds of the Seminole State. It's just a beautiful garnet and gold history. So hopefully, you know, it's only like 17 days away. So I think I can hold off on, you know, publishing just to have it correct, because who knows, we might have like the most groundbreaking, you know, weekend, which would be a perfect final chapter. But Infinity Con and Beyond is a cool reflective chapter, just like Road Trip to Eden. There's a place called Tate's Hell that this guy was trying to hunt down a creature that killed his dogs for 7 days, and then he left the forest and was lost. And then once he was found, he's like, yeah, I'm named Tate, and that was hell. And they named it Tate's Hell's Forest, and a lot of creatures been found there. So that would be a cool final chapter too, going to hell. That would kind of open up the next book very well. But Infinity Con and Beyond is right now. But if I could squeeze in a couple more, I'm really looking forward to it. But every day is a freaking adventure. Today was so crazy. We went to some Native American mounds just very, very quickly because these workers let us in. They actually invited us back tomorrow, so I'm really looking forward to that. But then we went down this trail and we walked past this houseboat, and this boatman comes down and he's like, sees us, and he thinks we stole from him or acted suspicious. And we're just making videos back there because there were structures made probably by him and his family. So it's just like he claimed domain over a private or a public trail that now is so like torn up because of the hurricane that now he thinks it's private, and it's just like too much, and we didn't want to get shot or anything. But I got a cool video of all of it, so I'm going to upload that soon to YouTube. But I just wanted to explore because it was good Sasquatch territory right on the Apalachicola River, right down the creek from Torreya State Park and literally the Garden of Eden, where these creatures roam. So I should have just flagged him down and asked him if he's had any experiences, but he was like creeping and freaking us out. It was really weird, and I was just trying to burn one and meditate, man. I was just trying to connect with these things.
Huh. That's super weird, man.
It was weird. It definitely sent a chill up my spine. And I wish we had more people. As me and Tristan, and we usually roll with Ninja Ronnie and then Tristan's brother Cameron, who he's like a leprechaun. I don't know if you saw the videos, but Tristan and Cameron, they've encountered a Sasquatch, they've encountered little gremlin fairies, and then their family has stories of the hog-nosed bear. That's like the short-faced cave bear, and of course it's extinct. That's what people say, but a lot of people say it's still alive as well. And they've heard weird sounds. They have pictures of weird tracks and dens in there. And it's a truly magical place over there. And I'm trying to spend the night and try to really dive deep into it. But they have like literally gremlins and elves that have gotten into their house. And there's holes like near their bed. And things have went missing and moved around. And grown-ups, older than you and I even, have said that there's like a 6-legged creature that was chasing around one of the nephews. It's pretty wild, man. So over there in Chipley, there's a bunch of sinkholes, and it's the tallest waterfall. And there was a hooded Sasquatch sighting, kind of reminded me of the Flatwoods Monster. Pretty freaking wild, man. Things are weird.
Did you say a hooded Sasquatch?
Yeah. 2 Egg TV reported about it, but a girl was training for like some kind of long distance marathon. So she was hiking at the Falling Water State Park, and she was walking with her dog. She was being chased or like followed, stalked by something. And then she finally got a visual, and she said it had a hood. And I don't know if it just had like a cone head and maybe its translucent hollow hair was kind of playing tricks on her mind, or infrasound, kind of hit her on levels that her vision was a little blurred. Who knows? But the Flatwoods Monster, he literally has a little cool hood. So who knows? It could be an alien type creature, or just a Sasquatch, or one of these prowlers like the movie The Descent, or Gollum from Lord of the Rings, just that translucent type being. She said it was dark, but it could be a translucent type being, reflective, dark, because polar bears have dark skin, but they just reflect the light. Octopus, dolphin, bat, combine all that and give it to the Sasquatch. Come on.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Do you remember? Did she describe like the hood? Like, did she see the actual like roundness of the hood, or was it just the point that made her think it was a hood?
I think she said it was like a hood on it.
Okay.
Yeah, she didn't say it was like a different color or anything, though. I think she said it was dark.
Well, because I've heard counter witnesses explain like the Sasquatch with the hood, but because it was like an outline and it has that like conical rounded shape to like, you know. So I was curious if that's what she saw, or if she saw an actual like hood, like, you know.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I could see it blurred both ways because you could definitely see like that big head and just the cone head, and you'd be like, oh my God, a hooded man. But it could have also been like an animal skin or some kind of protection because these creatures, you know, are so advanced that they know how to protect themselves in the wilderness. So a little hood that could stick on his head, of course. I'm big on these moms might have little carrying, you know, pouches, kind of like kangaroo. If you ever look inside a kangaroo, it's like perfectly made. You can't even tell a little baby's inside there. Think about Patty. A lot of people said she was pregnant at the time. There was also other like breakdowns that like her head's right this, and then there's another mass that like jumps up real quick, and her head can't do that. So maybe there was like a baby clinged onto her, and you know that's hard to understand, hard to believe, but she's like 4 or 5 times bigger than us. So, and the little baby is a little baby. So think how much room that thing could, you know, work with. It's,
Right.
you know, a little far fetched, but you know, the Bluff Creek story gets really crazy when you look into MK Davis's theories, and it's really sad, honestly. And you get like thrown to the wolves for even bringing it up. Like on these podcasts that I hop onto, you know, I have to watch my mouth about flat Earth, about the Black Ops, about the massacre, about a lot of these crap, you know, about heaven and hell. It's crazy, but you know, I'm pushing boundaries and you know, mixing up potions. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. That's why I won't ever discriminate against. I mean, everyone has their own. Everyone's open and free to express their own opinion. It's, yeah. I have vowed to do my part to fix the issues within the cryptid world, like specifically the Sasquatch community. Do I believe the massacre theory? No, not at all. Just because I've done like a bunch of deep dive like into people and the whole situation, and for me personally, that I just haven't found anything. Plus, I've met Bob Gimlin personally and sat down and chatted with him for a good like half hour, 45 minutes, and I just didn't get a vibe from him. But that's not to say that it didn't happen because I wasn't there. You know what I mean? I can only go off of what I've seen and know. But with that being said, it's in my opinion, you shouldn't have to feel like you have to like filter yourself. Like
Right.
that's why I like this podcast, because I want anyone who comes on here to feel open and free to say whatever they want to a certain point. Like, don't come on and, you know, I'm not saying you would, but anyone, don't come on and be vulgar and like racist and all this crap.
Right.
But,
No hate.
No, no hate speech. But if you like discuss and have a belief on something that I don't necessarily believe or agree with, it's still your floor, dude. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Right.
so yeah.
I always just want to raise awareness that even that theory exists, because a lot of people have it just closed off, that they don't even know about it. And it works both ways. If it's true, it needs to be known. But if it's not true, then dang, that's slander and that's bad. And where does it stem from? But, you know, I do know there's definitely a couple things that, you know, add a couple things that don't add up to the natural story. And maybe some things that, you know, were a strong reach too. That's why I wasn't there. I haven't, you know, interviewed anybody that was there either. So I'm just some guy that just wants to raise awareness that there are different theories out there. And just, it's sad that, you know, the most famous footage, you know, they scorn it for being fake. Well, it's real, but what if there is a deeper story to it? And that just shows, oh, it always goes deeper, you know. And if we're trying to prove things, then that shows what we're really up against. And I don't know, it's just very interesting. But Scott Carpenter, I'm part of like his camp, you know. So he I'm not saying anybody sways what I believe, but you know, good people who I put my trust in believe a certain thing. So, you know, but I'm not trying to lose friends or battle anybody for it. When I go to conferences, I want to meet Bob Gimlin, you know. If there was a crazy story like that, I just want to hear his take on it, because not all these creatures are little holly jolly creatures. You know, they do kill people. Henry McCabe, Jared Adidero, Dennis Martin, Cullen Finnerty, all of them had weird stories connected, you know, missing 401 and like Bigfoot and feral man type creatures. And there's tons of other ones that, you know, people have been kidnapped, and, you know, female Bigfoot one time licked a man's feet raw so he couldn't even escape. It's like, dude, there's unthinkable things going on in the forest right now, and people want to act like it's all fun and games. So yeah, sometimes these creatures have to be killed, sometimes people get killed in the way of them, and that's just how the world works. I just wish there was a free treaty that we could just not harm each other, and there doesn't have to be, you know, a war going on versus light and dark. Like, things can happen, they can exist, they can coexist. The Bigfoot used to live with the Hoopa people. You know, Mr. Pilates wrote a book about it. And then one of the Sasquatch assaulted one of the leaders, like family members, in the night, and then they were all forced to go to the mountains, you know. And then the Lovelock cave giants, they had the skulls at the Humboldt Museum. And of course, you know, they were burned inside the cave. And this is just knowledge. And the Kandahar giant overseas, a lot of the Giant's Causeway over in Ireland. You know, when you just connect the dots between fairies, Bigfoot, and Titan, and Nephilim, and demons, and heaven and hell, and the Creator, and us, and our thumbprints, and seashells, and you know, pine cones, and even space above. And, you know, I'm not big on NASA because that's all Nazi, you know, beliefs, and that's Operation Paperclip. Wernher von Braun, he's literally a Nazi scientist that led NASA. He has the firmament, you know, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork, on his gravestone. And handiwork is real. Like, heaven is a real place. So it's not a metaphor, it's an actual destination that is up, you know. And there's chambers below our feet that are down. There's crazy stories that the Bigfoot live below us for 13,000 years, and they're waiting out the world's Armageddon, and maybe they're stirring it up. And even the Mormons and Manson and the Incas and the Mayans, they all had ties to that. So there's some kind of, you know, linkage between us and the giants and the ones from the sky. So we just gotta, you know, open our eyes a little bit wider. That's what I'm about. And a lot of people are still, you know, in the forest, you know, beating on trees, just not thinking deeper into it. You gotta clear yourself. You can't use deodorant. Like, guys, we have to think so much beyond this, you know. Like, you have to cleanse your soul before you're even out there, because this is their domain, this is their radar. They could take you over in an instant. So you better cleanse your soul, or they're gonna wreak on your insecurities in a minute.
Absolutely. Well, dude, that there's just, I don't know, man. Did you hear the, was it South, I think it was Eurasia, they found that the skeletal remains of Paraceratherium, I think it is. It's the hornless rhino.
Whoa, no, I did not. That sounds awesome.
It lived like some 2 million years ago or something. It was like almost 23 feet tall.
Jesus.
It was taller than a giraffe.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
Giraffes are amazing, man. You know,
look
at the design of that creature, and they can use their neck as a weapon. Wow.
So it's taller than a giraffe, and it had its skeletal, its skull. Something about the skull. They figured out that it had like a trunk. So it was like a elephant crossed with a rhino crossed with a giraffe. And it was like, it had like a rounded face in the front. It was dude, yeah. When you get a second, you should look it up. They have like sketches of pictures of what it would have looked like. It's so freaking cool, dude.
That sounds cool. Kind of sounds like a bunny yip. Bunny yip's like a cryptid creature that kind of lives on the edge of the water, that stronger than a hippo, but moves like a snake as well. Yeah, it's wild.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's very popular in Australia.
So yeah, and I've been saying, like, if we're we're just now finding that, dude, and that was like, I think 2 million years ago. which really isn't that long ago if you in retrospective when you think about it.
Right. If the world's
There's
billion years old, then yeah, millions is just like around the corner.
Yeah, there was a mammal on this earth that stood 23 feet tall. I mean, it was bigger than a T-Rex, dude. And people still doubt the existence of cryptids and Sasquatch and we find new species of animals and insects every single day. Like
Yep.
maybe not solely in the U.S., but throughout the entire continent, throughout the entire world. I mean,
100%.
dude, like we do like insects, like bacteria. Bacteria is a living organism. You know,
Yep. Fish.
there's what was it? They just discovered a bacteria. My cousin was just telling me about it. They just discovered a bacteria. They found it in like the Antarctic, I think, and
Wow.
it was alive from the ice age, meaning it didn't need oxygen and it didn't need food and water,
Jeez.
and it survived for the since the last ice age. Yeah, dude.
That's impressive, but you gotta be careful with that kind of stuff too, because it could get released into the public, and they'll do another shutdown just for that.
They make movies about that.
I talk about it on Floor Talk. Go check it out.
What was that Contagion? Like people are gonna be running around eating each other.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about some of your. I was curious if you would talk about some of your sighting reports that you've been intercepted and receiving.
Yeah, the one.
There's the word.
Yeah, 100%. The most famous one that we've been talking about recently was this officer up in Bainbridge, up in Georgia, actually saw a goat man creature on Halloween morning, and he was sitting in his patrol car, and his passenger officer, his partner, was like frozen and like shaking. He's like, "What's up?" And he like pointed just up, and he looks into the rearview mirror. He sees this little thing hopping, and it's not far from the Cohelee Creek Goatman story, which I've investigated after dark, and that was about a murder, a very hateful murder happening, and then the body never being found, and the guy turning into half man, half beast, and hunting down the bad guys who did him wrong. So it's pretty interesting to hear a similar story, unrelated, right across, the river and forest over in Bainbridge. And it's just very magical that the cop came and found me, it's just really cool. And then another one, this guy was over in Tallahassee, and he was home alone, and he saw Sasquatch in his backyard, and he actually took a photograph of him. And he's supposed to email me the photograph. Hopefully I get it soon. Another guy actually sent me audio. He came to my shop, and I was talking about Sasquatch. He's like, I actually recorded a loud growl. And he sent me the audio, and it's very low, the audio sound is, but the growl is very loud, and you could hear it screamed up. So I would love to send it to some kind of professional that can mess with the waves. If you have the program, I would love to send it to you, or if you know anybody that you can, stand behind.
I do, in fact, and in fact, I was just listening to a podcast episode with him in it, and he was inviting people such as yourself or such as the person who recorded this to send their audio analysis in via email to David Ellis of the Olympic Project.
Dope. Yeah, I'll definitely send it in. And I have my own audio that I recorded of a loud whoo. And it's very crazy. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's just an owl." But we were out there for 4 hours, and we only heard one hoot. And when you're out there with owls, you hear hundreds through the night. So I don't know what the odds would be just to hear one. And I have that on my YouTube, on my playlist, and it's pretty cool. I would love to send that to a professional too, just to see the waves, of course. But the one in my email, the guy, is definitely like a violent scream. I think ours was just like the guy was just trying to get attention to us, the skunk ape or this feral creature, because there are tribes of unknown people, untouched civilization people in Florida, in Georgia, in Louisiana. You know, the swamps, the swamp people. That's what the the Gator Show is all about. Like, yeah, Troy, he's like the front man for real people that are still living in the forest, killing gators and living off eating snakes and frogs. Like that exists down here. This is the South.
Dude. Yes, David Ellis would be able to tell you right off the bat without even listening to your audio, because he's done it for so long, even before his Sasquatch research. So he was an professional audio analysis. That's what he did for a living.
I know an owl looks like a U, but a man making an owl sound looks a little different.
A little different
than that. So it'd be very cool to see the audio waves.
And he's got that program where he can isolate the sound, so he can mute everything else out and all that stuff. So yeah. Once we get done here, I'll send you the link in order how to get a hold of him, so you can send him that audio if you want to.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll forward it to him. It's already in my email.
Yeah, he's got bachelor's art of psychology at U of O, or I'm sorry, University of Washington. Track casting analysis, replication, bachelor degree of field audio recording analysis, and witness interview and study site assistance for the team. So he does quite a bit. He's a core member. So he's been around for a while, man. Send any. That's what I'm planning on doing. My research camp. I think I've heard a total of 6 or 7 whoops since I've been up there. I've found like what I think is a little gifting area that they use for each other. Yeah, and what else have we? Dude, the very first time ever I went up there with one of my buddies. He's the one that showed me the whole spot. We're up there morel hunting, and looking for just different types of mushrooms, and we heard clearly, dude, a rhythmic clave. Like the instrument clave, like the jazz, like tick 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 clave rhythm. Yeah. It wasn't the clave rhythm. It was like a duck 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 duck, and it lasted for like 30 seconds, give or take. And right afterwards, a woodpecker went off, and it was like a woodpecker. And I've never heard that ever since. Me and one other person heard that. It was a clave, dude, very clearly. I spent 4 years in jazz band. I know what the hell a clave sounds like. It was a clave, dude. It was coming from deep within the forest. And we're on Mount Hood. So it's like I've been reading up into a bunch of stuff on it, and it's like really like there's a lot of Native American lore on and around that mountain. Like it's haunted. There's areas where it's haunted, according to them. It's completely littered with Sasquatch. To like that's where they the Warm Springs Reservation is right on the foot of the base of the mountain. So I mean, it's they just rush from what I've been reading. They rush from the mountainside down to the Warm Springs during the winter, and they stay in the Warm Springs. A lot of them. On the reservation, because there's no hunting allowed. There's no there's hardly there's native people around. That's it. Like you're not getting your tourists and your so it's, I don't know, man, it's pretty crazy. That's why I wish one of these days I want to try to get a cell booster, because thanks to Elon Musk, I have like a little bit of service up at my research spot, because I'm at like 7,500 feet elevation. I'm like above everything. I want to bring you up there, because I wish you could like come and just check it out. Yeah. But if I could like find a way to hook Zoom up or, something, and like get you at site, like I'm hoping we can get like
on the ground one day.
Dude,
and
I know.
I want to see the whole triangle, man, of Mount Mount St. Helens, and then Mount Rainier, and then Mount Hood. You know, all three of them. If you're on top, you can see the other two, right?
Yeah, you can see every single mountain within the all three from from my vantage point.
It's really magical, and you know, Ninja Ronnie lived on Mount Rainier, and that's pretty magical too. So it's just a small world that, you know, everything's all connected, and you know, the same Sasquatch that were, you know, harassing Ronnie decades ago could be passing down your hot springs trying to keep warm, you know, in the winter. That's truly cool. Is your research camp near where your encounter happened, where you found that twist off and, you know, on the edge of the camp base?
No, so that I can't get up into there. So because of all the fires that blasted through the Pacific Northwest, well, everywhere, but specifically in the Pacific Northwest, it totally devastated all my research areas. And the ones, well, almost all of them, and the ones that didn't get hit, all the roads to get to them are closed down because of landslides and crap. Like they don't want people going up there, driving up there. And I could hike up there, but to hike up into that spot would take like a week, like 5 days. And I just don't have time to do that. So the spot that I'm at now is actually my buddy, Casey came on. I had him come on and talk about. He's originally from Tennessee, and he had like a Sasquatch encounter from like 5 feet away. Him and his whole family saw it, and so him and his friend he moved to Pacific Northwest to Oregon, and one of his friends that he had been friends with for a long time, they were up on Mount Hood, kind of in this same spot where I'm at, mushroom picking, and they got like whooped at, like monkey whoop. And so he told me about it, and we went up there one day to go look for morels and go check it out. And we heard like, it was like it sounded like a person yelling, dude. I don't know how else to describe it. It sounded like a person so much that we all like got all discouraged. We're like, oh, that was a person screaming, dude. And upon further inspection, the voice was way too loud for the terrain that it came from, because the terrain was super steep and super thick. So if it was a human voice, there's no way it would have like belted out like that. But so we're up there and we hear this, dude, and then so we hear that, and I've got whistlebacks. We like back and forth, like whistled. It's nuts, dude. It's so crazy. That area is super hot.
Very dope. He's brave, man. Just going out there solo dolo. Do you go out there alone too and spend the night?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive, man.
I got game cameras and audio recorders in camp.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So have you recorded the whoops too that you've heard?
No, every time I've heard them, I haven't had my audio recorder going. I just got the one. That's why every time I got whoops, every time we heard something, I would always whoop back, and then all the activity would just stop for the night, and then it would start back up the next day. So I'm gonna start. I left camp. I've been gone from camp for about 5 days to a week right now. I'm trying to let everything settle down and reset. But I have my hammock, my tent, and my rain tarp set up at camp. So that way, when I get there, I'm just gonna chill out. I'm gonna set my recorders up in like PVC or something, weatherproof them. So I'm gonna hang a couple in the trees in the back of camp. So that way I can try to get the whoops on recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the game camera, I'm not really focusing on trying to capture Sasquatch with game camera. There's a lot of berry bushes and stuff that grow within camp, and so I'm trying to keep an eye on what kind of animals are checking out my camp, because at 7,500, I know there's bound to be bear and cats around. Cats aren't looking for berries, but you know.
They're bound to walk past though.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. And then I just got a dash cam, front and rear for my car.
Nice. How much should that run you? I'm interested in getting one too.
Dude, they're freaking cheap, dude. For the one that I got was like $119 because it's front, rear, and it does night vision.
Not
So
bad
like
at all.
for the rear view camera. So that because if unless you have a light for the back of your car, which no car does, you're not going to be able to pick up anything, just darkness. So
Right.
but I've seen dash cams on Amazon for like $40.
Dope. I'm gonna have to get one like ASAP, just because that's good for safety, and it's awesome. Because I'm always got my eyes peeled, so it'd be nice to have footage rolling too.
Yeah.
Just to add to the collection. You already know, nothing really substantial will ever get accredited to some dash cam footage. They'll always say, "Oh, it's something you're moving too fast," but hey, it's good for us communityers to have it, and to build it. Man, there's already a ton of evidence. There's new photos all the time. Trail cams aren't going to catch them that well, but sometimes they can't see that cone and they're distracted, about the berries or the mushrooms. So yeah, it's very cool just to get it out there. My trail cam I bought from my mom ended up getting burnt out like a couple days after being out. It's very mysterious. I don't know what happened with it. If it was just a dud or if it was just electromagnetic activity interference too.
Very weird.
It's storming real bad here too. So if the lights go out, that's like
Oh, dude, exciting.
yeah, tropical storm Claudette, just cleared past here, and sadly it killed like 13 people up in Alabama. So hurricane season has definitely arrived, and it's some scary stuff for sure. So these cryptid creatures are going to be stirred up themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Dang, dude. Wow. Yeah, when you see Cliff, ask him about the Clackamas River Sasquatch game cam photo.
Okay.
Yeah, he has a little highlight, or had. Right now they're doing a deep dive on the Patty cast, but he had a highlight in his museum that he has a little theater, and Connor sets up a little camera, and he talks to the camera, and he talks about like footage, and he analyzes it, and he like goes over it and stuff. And this footage, dude, it was like I think it was like a electric worker or something, someone for the state was out and about, and maybe he was a hunter, I can't remember, but he had a game camera set up, and he got a Sasquatch running past. It was like a blur, and you can see a leg and an arm and like up to its shoulder before it like gets hidden behind a tree. And Cliff goes to like the tree, and he does his height. He does all the analysis, and it turns out the figure that's walking in front of the game camera on a game trail is like 7'6" or something, 7'4". Like, yeah,
giant.
Yeah.
I'll ask him. Yeah, it'll be very cool to talk to him and tell him that I know you, and he's in my neck of the woods over here, and hopefully it's the start of a good friendship. I'm very excited to go public, in the public eye at the Great Florida Conference, Bigfoot, because of course InfinityCon was cool, having a booth and everything, but this one I'm not having a booth. I'm just running free, and then going camping after, and then there's going to be a guided hike the next day with a couple bigger names, but I'm just going to join in where I can get in, and just absorb what I can. Me, man, I'm just along for the ride, bringing my own vibrations.
Nice, dude. Nice. Okay, so in the recent past couple months or so, have you gotten any new Sasquatch reports, skunk ape reports?
Oh yeah, man. I have I've interviewed so many people in the past couple weeks at my store. One guy, he was being followed by Bigfoot from his grandfather's over to his mom's house, and he had to light a torch, like a big stick on fire, and to light the way. And that's like one of the first reports that I was a little bit like suspicious if he was even telling the truth. But I did an audio interview. I'm gonna do a video interview with him for that, and see, if he matches his exact story. And if he does, then heck yeah, I believe him. If not, then I have to go, a third time and see what his next story is gonna be.
Yeah.
And then there's been a ton of stories about gremlins and fairies, because that, I don't know, it's just exploding around here. There's a bunch of Native American mounds, and then one guy that comes in my store, he lived in the woods for a long time, but his family lived on a mound, and as a kid, he dug in it, and they found a little green, like alien humanoid type creature. So it's pretty wild. But one of the most recent ones was a guy and his neighbor heard the Cheesy Pond Wild Man thumping in between their house, and it was shaking their house, just running near it. And after Hurricane Michael, my trailer, and my sister, will confirm too, my trailer was shaking a couple nights after things were running by it. I don't know if it was just wild dogs, because there's packs of dogs, or it was these skunk ape creatures. I have no idea. But my mom, she has a couple cats at her house, and my one cat baby, we've had her for 10 years. She lived in Indiana, Ohio, and everything. She got killed and ripped apart by something. I don't know what it was, but really made me question everything. And I'm big on like manifesting your thoughts. And I'm like, man, did I make this happen with my cryptid research? And I was really mad at myself and kind of wanted to give up on everything. But, I believe in heaven, and I know she's be my guardian angel. So yeah, it's just a roller coaster ride. But I've also had other reports, sent to me and emailed to me, and pictures. One lady, she's been being harassed on her property of these creatures, and they come through the sky window and peek down at her. And she sent me like 9 photographs, and a couple of them are like clear as day. And I know I could trust you. I'll keep them private with you, but I'll let you check them out. They're pretty wild, man. And you can see like their gray skin and their dark face, and these things are obsessed with her. And I talked to her after I was on Dark Waters radio, and that was really cool. They have 40,000 subscribers, so it had a huge community of people, just asking great questions, and they were very open-minded. And I actually did a 3-hour interview with them the day after the first day of Infinity Con, so I was on a crazy buzz of itself, and it was just magical times. But yeah, man, I get reports all the time, and I've had my own strange encounters over at Torreya State Park when we're down deep on a trail. I have the map right here, and I have it marked the X of the rock toss. You can see my Sharpie. But Stacy Brown, recorded his footage here, and Cliff, has camped here and investigated. So I'm interested to see what he has to say. But I think we got close to one's den, and then it threw like a 30 or 40 pound boulder behind us, and we just took it as a warning, and we kept going. I didn't know if the path totally looped around because of the hurricane. So I was really more worried about just not dying of like dehydration or missing 401 actually taking place because we separate or some kind of weird occurrence. So we just had to stay safe, But yeah, Torreya State Park is just a weird every time. Even Donnie Miller, the extraordinary outdoorsman, he had to turn around recently because he had something, spook him on the trail not far from where we had our encounter. So I think they're protecting something over there. And, I don't really care to find out. I love finding remnants of them, but I'm not going to trespass on their land and get ripped apart, but I do want to find remnants wherever I can at a safe distance. I love the tristos and their markings and ground glyphs and just the language of the forest. It's truly amazing.
You were on Dark Waters podcast, or
yeah?
I didn't know that.
Yep, Chasing the awesome. Truth. Dark Waters with Sean, man. Sean was incredibly open-minded, and he let me talk about crazy things like flat Earth and cloning and deep underground military bases, a lot of wild stuff, It was very, very cool. Great conversation. And I literally was like in my car for it, charging my phone. And like I said, I was at Infinity Con all day, so I was driving and at the booth. So it was just a remarkable time, and I'm glad I can bookmark it. And they were incredibly accepting of me, and they want me to come back too. I really would love to have my own show on Dark Waters. So I want to manifest.
That's funny. I didn't realize. I thought Dark Waters was because I know about Dark Waters from what was it? It was the Confessionals podcast with Tony Merkel, because it was kind of a funny story. Tony Merkel was at work and he ended up getting a phone call and he didn't know the number, so he let it go to voicemail. And it did that 3 more times and he answered. I'm totally butchering this story. You'll have to go onto the Confessionals and find it. But long story short, his phone had dialed this dude from Dark Waters, which I thought that's what his name was, just Dark Waters. It obviously might be his podcast or his media or whatever. Anyways, and Dark Waters' phone was calling Tony's phone at the same time, and they've never met each other. And Dark Waters had just took an interview with Wes Germer. So it was like a weird double, but yeah, so that's crazy. I didn't know that there was a whole, like, I thought it was just one person that ran that entire thing.
Yeah, Dark Waters is one guy, and he's really cool too. But yeah, they have different shows on Dark Waters. It was really funny. Like 2.5 hours into the interview, he asked me if I ever did DMT, and I was like prancing around being like politically correct the whole time. And then he asked me if I've ever done DMT, the leader of the channel. And I'm like, wow, the head guy asked this. I would have been talking about the whole time, man. So it was like really funny. But yeah, he's very cool. The Dark Waters guy and Sean, the guy who runs Chasing the Truth. Both those guys, incredible interviews. I just hate seeing all the drama in the community, because Vic Cundiff and Paranormal Roundtable and then Dark Waters, they're all getting into it. And then, of course, the fans, the community, like, really feed on it. And it's like, come on, guys, we're talking about paranormal. Let's not let these dark times taint our waters, you know? So I love just seeing positivity, because I was on Dogman Encounters with Vic Cundiff as well. But
yeah,
I don't agree with any of the shadiness that's going on. And Vic Cundiff actually did leave out some of my story, you know? So in a way, I understand how people would be upset, but then again, I know how it is too. Like, it's BTS. Not everything we say can be kept in the final cut of every single episode. You know, sometimes the final cut could be the full thing. Sometimes it has to be cut a little bit, but sometimes they are hiding, you know, special details that fit a narrative. So I understand all aspects of it, but some people just dive in, you know, head first and at harassment. And I don't have anything for it, because Dark Waters has treated me good. Vic Cundiff treated me fair. And the Paranormal Roundtable, he seems like a good guy. His mom just passed away, and he's going through some stuff. And his last name's Turner. So is my mom's last name. So I'd like for, you know, things to connect. And, you know, I'd love to be on his show too. But yeah, I'm just trying to stay active and raise awareness, because a lot of the Sasquatch world is kind of square and not thinking outside the box. Ironic, but I'm trying to just bring it all together, you know?
Yeah. No, yeah. So I do what a lot of other podcast hosts refuse to do, and I plug different podcasts. I don't get paid to do it. I plug podcasts that I like to listen to. And if like people like you have been on, like, I'm gonna plug that, because even if I haven't heard it before, because I'm having a guest on, I automatically am going to check that out. You know, their stuff they've been on prior and all that stuff. So for all the listeners, if you go to YouTube and go to type in Dark Waters, the subscription page has like 42.2K subscribers, so you can match up numbers. And Connor's video is on there, streamed 2 weeks ago from today. And it's entitled Chasing the Truth with Sean G. And then guest Connor Flynn at Bigfoot Anonymous. So
You
make
should
sure you
read
go
a few
check
of the
that out.
comments.
read some of the comments. Are you sure?
Yeah. Even if there's bad ones.
Okay. Well, Lisa C. I'll just say that. Lisa C. says, Connor Flynn, excellent guest. He's exceptionally knowledgeable, but he doesn't let that get in the way of being a really good listener. And he manages to maintain a sense of humor. He's solid and balanced guy. His enthusiasm does not get in the way of his focus. This lady likes you. He knows just how bad things are and how they'll likely get worse, but still holds on to a positive outlook. And she's the deep thinker. Wish I'd heard of him sooner. Better late than never. Thanks for having him. Appreciate how he drops info and suggestions in a way that most of us know what he's talking about. But it sounds like if we didn't, we could contact him. Loving this guy. I'm sorry if I'm butchering this name if you're listening to this, but Gerard G. Jack or J says, bring Connor back. Great show again. Let's see. Julie says, Connor, you don't sound crazy at all. More like a man in the know. Love listening to you. Best wishes to you always. Wow, there's a lot of positivity. This is really awesome to see.
That was definitely one of the better interviews, man. One time I was on Mogi on Monster Show and kind of got in a little heated debate with them, and I had like 90 people hating on me. And so it's crazy seeing the yin and the yang of the community. But once everybody actually sees where I'm coming from, they see it's a place out of love. And, you know, sometimes I have read and researched a little more, and I don't want to sound like I'm like up or anything. But come on, guys, when I say research, I'm not like saying, oh, use your research, dummy. I'm just saying, like, well, if you're not going to believe me, then just do research. It's either believe me, which I'm not asking you to do, or research. You know, do one. You know, I'm not wasting my breath for nothing.
So Ben H., and this actually brings me to a good question. Ben H. asks, how do we begin to research all of these subjects to gain Connor's knowledge? Where do you get your knowledge from, sir? Sorry, I know I asked you as soon as you took a bite out of here.
Yeah, no, but it's awesome. That's part of it. You know, every bite is just trying to figure it out 100%. But it definitely starts with in the field. You know, I talk to people wherever I go about the strange history of everything. But then I also dig deep on YouTube, Reddit, Instagram hashtags. I'm also part of a couple research groups on chat rooms about UFOs and Sasquatch. Most of it's honestly just toxic BS. But I try to find, you know, the righteous, good info through all the smoke screens. But a lot of it is, you know, books and then movies and just diving through all the emails and files and all the stuff that leaks that's out there for everybody, you know, like all the Pentagon UFO stuff that they're confirming. Like, guys, we've been posting about that for 3 or 4 years. So I'm not trying to fall for any of this. Oh, they're giving us it out. Like, no, they're just, you know, pushing us along and just really twirling the thing right in front of our face, keeping us distracted while real big things are going on. They're not telling us anything that we don't already know. And sadly, a lot of the past 2 years I have predicted, and what comes next is not good. So we all have to stick together for what's coming, you know, because we are more divided than ever and so confusing. And now in the next few months, you know, the presidency is going to be challenged and it's going to cause division between everybody and nobody knows what side they're on. And, you know, good people are going to be confused. So I'm very nervous about the future, but it starts with the truth too. So like knowing that Bigfoot exists and knowing that giants exist and knowing that there is a divine power in our soul. You know, we're made in God's image. We have a soul and a spirit. And I think so do these creatures. They have a soul and a spirit. But these animals, they have spirits. They have the spirit animal. We have domain over them. So there's some kind of connection to us and nature. But we have to respect nature for it to respect us back. And we've trampled on this earth for a little too long. So the balance is going to come back. But I think a lot of people are going to walk themselves into a problem. I'm going to be, you know, some of their last resistance, Red Dawn. I'm trying to fight for America, for country. for humanity, the last of the dying breed, man. It's coming to an end. The times as we know it, and right now is a placebo. Everything's coming back. That's what they think. I've lived in Florida. We've been back the last 2 years, so I don't know what everybody's talking about. I don't know what everybody got charaded into doing, but it's very terrifying, the future. But that's why I spend a lot of time in the woods, because I'm cherishing my time fishing, hiking, and kayaking, because that's what it's about.
Yeah, no. Going back to what you were talking about, connection with nature, really, connection with the earth, the spirits of the animals and stuff. That totally makes sense. That's not to say that there aren't, because there are hunters out there like this, but your average hunter, even like they sit on a ridge top from a mile away and pull a trigger and to take an animal's life, and then they gut and skin it, trying to get out of there as quick as they can to get back home so they can get in front of the TV or get into bed or do whatever. Dude, the Native American way, if you really look at the way they did things, they took their time with that. And it was a spiritual connection. Everything they did had a spiritual connection. They were taking the animal's life. You were to pray over it and bless it, and that animal spirit was to be received into your spirit. So the animal was to become part of you. And it's just and I highly apologize any listener that knows better. I'm going off of what I've read and learned. So if you know something, some other way or the way it actually goes, email me and let me know. Yeah, it all comes down into a circle, man. It's all one big circle, and we are very good at destroying circles.
100%, man. And I'm just trying to, retrace that circle. And it mixes, with nature. I've been drinking these psychedelic waters recently. Murder Beats' drink. Yeah, it's very cool. It has kava root extract, psychedelic complex, Demania leaf extract, and then green tea. And it really puts you in your zone. And, I'm all about frequencies and vibrations. And, think like thermal footage. They could just see you and your vibration. So when you're acting a little weird by the campfire, they're going to be a little interested. And we've definitely had some success with that. And then, of course, morning glory seeds, you can turn that into an extract and trip pretty hard and really mess with your vibrations. And then, of course, Hawaiian baby wood rose seeds. You can buy these legally online or, at your garden store and turn them into a drink. But once you're extracted, that becomes illegal. But that's where the ancient knowledge really comes into play, because you could get in touch with the other spirit side. And of course, Sasquatch are going to be like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen that potion since, the Seminole Indians were here. Let's go check it out. So yeah, I'm really into opening the doors into the other stuff. Of course, Lucy Leaf, mushroom tea, the boomers. We are open to it all. We meditate. We bring crystals into the forest, CBD, Delta 8, THC, dab pens, whatever we can do to really stir up the frequencies. It's truly magical, man. And that's why people have to open up their eyes. Even tobacco, leaving dip out there for the fairies or the Bigfoot is a nice offering. Of course, you have to watch out with the gifting, but if you're gonna do it out there, you have to leave some kind of tribute, because you don't come to someone's party empty-handed. BYOB.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's wrap this up here. But I wanted to give you a chance to plug any of your past, present, and future content coming up. I know you got your Instagram handle at Bigfoot Anonymous, or no, that's Twitter, right? At Bigfoot Anonymous.
Yeah, I think it's on Twitter. It's Bigfoot Anon. And then Bigfoot Anon on YouTube. And then on TikTok and Instagram, it's Bigfoot Anonymous. And then also, on YouTube, if you search Connor Flynn or Bigfoot Anonymous, it should pop up. I've done a ton of videos. I have a playlist, though, on my YouTube channel that I've gathered all my interviews that I'm proud of and gathered them together. So it's really cool, from Ruby Shadow Hunter to Squatch Talk to Vic Cundiff Radio to Four Talk, Gypsy Road, our episodes on there from a couple months ago. It's really cool to see my journey going across. You know, Sparks of Paranormal had me on a couple times. It's very cool. And then I interview people, you know, face to face at gas stations or at my shop. So I'm out here in the field really trying to do it. TikTok, I got a little bit of buzz going. It's really cool to see videos spread out the world and people, you know, find things inside my videos. They watch my videos at 0.25 speed and then send me screenshots of symbiotes and strange eyes in the forest, man. It's really cool to think what else is out there. And it seems like you're normal when you're on your hiking trail, but really you have eyes on you and you're surrounded by electricity and strange sounds, man.
Yeah, no, man, it's still in the works, but I may have found a secondary for the podcast. It's actually Casey, the guy that I interviewed from Tennessee, and he's going to be moving back to Tennessee at some point within the next year, and going to be doing like on the ground research investigation stuff out there. But I want to have you and probably one other podcast person on for a roundtable in the next few months, and just, you know, like we'll line out like I'll have a whole list of different topics, but we can record like a 3-4 hour session and just cut it into like 2 parts.
That would be amazing,
dude. Because I really want to do, because I love that, just like where your mind goes, man. It's like, it's refreshing. It's I find myself irritated and frustrated with social media all the time because I'm in so many different groups and I see Sasquatch don't live here, they live there, or you know, just pure ignorant like shit all the time, dude. And it takes every ounce out of me not to be like, really? So what, do you like hang out with them like on a day-to-day basis and conversate and like invite them over into your home and play ping pong? And I don't know. But,
see, I've been kicked out of a few Bigfoot groups, and it was kind of like at the same time I was getting my Instagram and SoundCloud going on. So it's like, oh my gosh, I gotta worry about, did I step on these people's toes before I actually knew them, you know? Because when they come at me, I come at them just as hard because it's just silly, man. I posted, you know, my pictures on there, and I think they're somewhat clear. Clearly, they're not Patty, you know, footage, but it's something, and you can see something, and I think it's worth bringing to the table. And some people just like trash it completely, and they don't like being met with, you know, a little bit of resistance because they think they're just invincible trolls. And then once, you know, you get a little bit of clap back, then they act like the victim, and I'm like, whoa, you started it. Let me real quick, you know. So it's really funny, but yeah, I get irritated a lot, and you know, arguments and all that, but I'm just on to the next. Are they out in the field? Are they working hard on podcasts? Are they writing books? Are they taking photos? Are they going to conferences? Are they raising awareness? Are they at the comic book store talking about the reality of it? You know, I hope they are. But I am. I am. Yeah. So all these people that are hiding behind a dang TV screen and never climbed a mountain, never been in a swamp, don't know how to swim or been in a kayak, I have no time to hear if they don't think Sasquatch is there. Because guess what? The Native Americans were all around this country. The Native American mounds, the mound builders, the giant bones, missing people, the caverns, it is all over this country. So guess what? It's all over the place. The BFRO, you know, reports it. It's every county of every state. And if it hasn't been reported, that's because people like these bullies, the cyber bullies, that they make people feel like small. Even me, man, I have charisma and I'm confident. They get under my skin. So imagine someone who is like halfway, it would bury them, and they don't even want to come out. So I'm that loud voice trying to get people to feel better about it. You know, I'm the loud voice. Steve Isdall's the tough voice. David Paulides is the official voice. Scott Carpenter is the God voice, you know, and I'm just trying to bring different avenues to it. And there's a ton of other people just like me, just like you, that are out there doing this. So it's not does Sasquatch exist anymore? It's what can we learn from these creatures and how many of them are there and what's their DNA look like and what can we do with their DNA? And I know half those answers. It's angel DNA. It cures everything. And, there's been over 125 sequences of it. And a lot of people say it's contaminated, but no, they just can't open up their minds, man. It's really messed up. That's why when people harass me about, getting the bone treated and tested, it's like, yeah, maybe in the right light, but we're not running to, no Freemason Lodge. Like, I'll see them when I'm umpiring baseball. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. The joke. No, I just had Connor Anderson from the Forest Floor podcast, and he also works at Cliff Berkman's North American Bigfoot Center.
Yeah, you got me as. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And Connor and Cliff both had just talked about to me. Cliff wasn't on the podcast, but I was talking to him at the shop, at the museum, and we were talking about when, because it's going to happen, when the existence of Sasquatch gets proven by the government, how much awesome, valid pictures, footprints, all this evidence that people have right now that will never see the light of day until that happens, because of people like you're talking about. The second they throw it out there, it's going to be picked apart. They're going to be emailed. Their life's going to be threatened. There's so much. We get crazy, people. It's the second anyone's worldview is threatened, it's like all bets are off, fists are up, and guns are pulled. It's crazy, man.
I've had a couple customers tell my boss that I've made them feel uncomfortable because I bring up Sasquatch, and they go straight to tell my boss trying to get me fired. It's crazy. We're in the middle of really hard times that people are living check to check, and they're trying to take my livelihood. Like, people don't know what they're dealing with, man. Like, not even me personally, but can't be flicking off people driving around these days. You can't press people's buttons, It's fragile times, man. Oh, man.
So, other than social media, you have YouTube, your Facebook page, your Instagram, your SoundCloud, which I always forget about. You have a SoundCloud where you have your stories on there, right?
Yeah, I narrate anonymous stories, and that's where it started. And I narrate newspaper articles about giant excavations because I'm so sick of people, saying there's no proof, and I know they don't read. So I did over 200 newspaper articles and then over 200 anonymous encounters from the internet that I've gathered and people sent to me and that I've found, over the years and just saved onto notepads. And I'm just trying to raise awareness of different creatures, telling stories that are, not being told. And it's just so crazy how many people still want to turn a blind eye. And because if it doesn't fit their beliefs, they literally ignore 97% of what's being presented for their 3%. And it's just so crazy. Like, what I have on my phone and what's in my different email databases, it's like, guys, Sasquatch real. Let's move on. Like, we have to see what else. Why are they tracking women? Like, where are they going? What are they protecting? How long do they live? Can they give us their blood? Like, come on.
Yep. All the unanswered questions. Absolutely. Right. Let's see. Okay, so other than social media, your YouTube page, the podcast, and I'll set up a list once I post this of all the podcasts you were on, so people can check those out. And do you have anything else you wanted to say to the listener before we get going?
Yeah. Another book that I'm working on that's about to be finished is called Every Camp Has a Crystal Lake. And that's going to be another part in the History Rewinds series. The Adventures of Countryman and Sabercat, that doesn't, it fits in, but that's not part of that series. That's going to be a standalone spin-off book. Every Camp Has a Crystal Lake goes back to, its foundation. And that talks about all the haunted campuses and camps and haunted school stories that I've encountered over my years and investigated over my adventures. So I'm really excited to release that. Both of those are going to be released in the next few months. I pumped these books out and right after one another, and that's not the best for promotion, but I honestly don't care about promo and tours like that because my books are timeless. You could read them in any order. So I could promote the last one, then the second one, and then the third one, the first one. Like they all exist in the different planes. Like whatever you feel, that one can bring it to you. So it's a truly amazing thing, all of them coming together. And then it's going to get real crazy after that. I'm working on a novel that is like a fictional story of creation and Genesis. And I've been working on that far before I even started with any of these. So it's going to be really good for me to finish a final project that like I've been working on, for literally like a decade now. And hopefully that creates its own world. And then Zillafoot 2 coming out, that dog band movie with Jack McClellan. Hoping to do a documentary with my buddy Dylan. He's an FSU filmmaker as well. I'm just trying to spread my wings, and then the Florida Bigfoot conference is going to be so magical. I'm going to definitely make an influence on some people, and I hope everybody's receptive and just there for good vibes. I'm really excited to go camping the night after, and the Green Swamp and all just Central Florida is so rich for skunk ape, material and investigations, expeditions. I'm going to learn a few things and hopefully I spread a few knowledge, and catch me on Horror Talk every Tuesday and Thursday. I definitely want to have you on there. I'm going to talk to Gypsy Road because, you're the West Coast. So we do our Tuesday show late at night. So it would time up perfect for you. And he actually lived right outside Seattle, I think. So he actually, you guys could meet up in real life, and that would be a really cool thing,
Dude, I'm down, dude. Absolutely. Yeah, our time zones would match up perfect. And as long as I'm in bed around 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm set for the next day for work. So yeah.
Yeah, it's about a 2-hour show every time, and it would be 11 o'clock my time. So that's like 9 o'clock your time.
So yeah, it's super doable. Yeah, absolutely. And I would love to come on, talk about my experience, talk about some of the lore stuff in that area, Native American 100%. Lore stuff. I'm totally down, and get to know him well enough. I'll bring him up to my research spot.
Yeah, he's ex-military, family man, really into strange things, Mandela effects, the Matrix, Bigfoot. He's interviewed the Sheep Squatchers like 3 or 4 times, and they are, a staple in the industry. What do you think about that Igor Burtsev phone call with the Sasquatch calling him while he was on stage?
I don't think I've heard about that.
Oh, bro, man, Dr. Igor Burtsev, that Russian doctor. He's
absolutely.
Been a bunch of doctrine things. He was on like the Nebraska convention on stage, and he has a friend in Russia that lives with Sasquatch, and the Sasquatch got on the phone and they played it through the speaker, and the audio, you could hear it, clear as day. It's on YouTube unless it's been taken off, but it's really cool. And then the She Squatchers interviewed him like a couple days after it, and then they interviewed me a couple days after that. So it was like, oh my God, I was just so happy to be a part of it. And it's really cool, and it really opens up doors, like women in Louisiana are feeding Sasquatch. The Carter Farm in Tennessee, 50 years with Sasquatch, they found and saved Fox, and then Fox raised a family, and then they know him, like Blackie is the son, and he's kidnapped girls before. Janice Carter still does interviews to this day. It's amazing. But down here in Florida, everybody knows the skunk ape exists. Like, that's like I'm saying, we're walking around living free while the rest of the world is like panicking, acting like, the sky is falling and air is toxic. It's so crazy. And I just want to shove it down their throats like, yo, everybody knows the skunk ape exists. Everybody knows that right now we're under some kind of spell. We need to break free. I'm sick of the cursive writing. We need to break free from the witches.
Dude, that's absolutely. I just found the article that you were talking about with Igor.
Yeah, man, it sounds just like the Sierra sounds. It sounds like the voicemail of Henry McCabe. You hear the samurai chatter in the background, and Henry McCabe was found dead, like 10 miles away from where he was last seen. it's really sad, man. It's crazy that these creatures are, kidnapping people. The movie Wrong Turn talks about the poor people and, these clans that out there, and they're superior when they're in the woods.
Wait, are you telling me that's what? That's real shit?
Sasquatch called Dr. Igor. And he talks about the backstory of the Watchers.
No, I mean I'm talking about the Hills Have Eyes stuff. Like clans of people.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's feral people out in the Tennessee mountains. I highly suggest everybody check out South Force 10 on YouTube. His family members have lived in the Tennessee mountains, and they used to be paid to kill these creatures and feral beings. And he goes down in the hillside and the holler and talks about the history of it. And Steve Stockham from Missing People, he's talked about South Force 10, and he's becoming a big staple in the community, man. That's why it's like these people who are hiding behind, there's no evidence. Guys, Port Chatham in Alaska, they had to abandon their whole town. Like, people are dying and abandon their houses. Like, guys, I could give you mothers' phone numbers that are traumatized by Bigfoot. Like, if you want to hide behind there's no evidence, talk to screw Counter Flynn. He's a goofy hippie. Talk to this mom. She'll get through to you.
Man. Oh my God, that makes me think that I was just on Instagram, and maybe it was Port Chatham, that someone was on Google Maps, and they found an abandoned town, and it coincided with, like, there was a lure of a monster that was like kidnapping and eating kids and people, and like everybody left in a single day. And on Google Maps, there's a whole street, an abandoned street. Like, it looks like there's people that are residing in this town, this little tiny town, but there's nobody. You can see the houses have been left for like years and years, and there's still like cars out front of the house. There's doors left open and curtains like half closed, and it's creepy, dude.
Wow. If that's not Port Chatham, it's something else, and the Hills Have Eyes and Wrong Turn. They all touch on it. There's some kind of reality in it. And it's blowing up on TikTok along the Appalachian Trail, all the feral people. And then there's cults that they'll recruit you. And that's where I'm trying to find the connection, the bridge, Big Brother, Bigfoot. There's Sasquatch. There's the Mayaca skunk ape. There's the two-egg stump jumper. There's the Vietnam rock apes. There's all these different size creatures, the orang pendek, the hobbit, all these weird things, and then there's the Kentucky monkey man. And then, of course, these dog man creatures that are actually like human hybrid with animals. So there's so many different variations. We have to find the bridge. And then I'm thinking, is there feral people that have been living in the woods for generations that pick up some of these adaptations? But then the Sasquatch would be, picking up them to expand their family tree. So the bridge gets blurred real quick. So yeah, feral people are Sasquatch, and Sasquatch are people, but they're monsters, and they're Nephilim, and they're angels and demons and giants, and mud fossils exist. So yeah, guys, let's stop boxing ourselves in and be like, it's only one way, just like Patty. Like, no, guys, come on, there's so much more to it. And yeah, if it ever goes mainstream, like it's accepted, then yes, I'm really looking forward to the plethora of pictures being, just flooded to the streets. But in a way, there's still not going to be one fluid answer, because the Vietnam rock ape is different than Patty, and that's different than the Mayaca skunk ape 100%. So yeah, we might have some answers, but there's still these creatures that, could tap into other dimensions. And, we're particle and waveform. Most of the time we're particle. When you could be your true being, you could be wave. And that's what I think these creatures can tap into. At least the chiefs, because they train, they meditate, they learn. It's all passed down. Nothing's handed, just like in the real world, man. There's the sun, the moon, and us. It's the Holy Trinity. And I believe in heaven. I believe in hell, angels and demons, and they're definitely in between. Jack and the Beanstalk, there's lands in the sky, and then there's lands below our feet, just like Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings. You got to watch it all. The Grinch, Shrek. It's all Bigfoot stories. Missing Link, Abominable, and Son of Bigfoot. Look at all the cartoons. They're giving you the truth right in front of your eyes. Disney, the dome right above. Come on, guys. We have to read between the lines before it's too late, because there might not be power in 4 to 5 months. They're going to blame it on climate control, but this is all set up, you know? Look into George Orwell and dive in, man. Dive in. Just be free. That's all I could say.
I just finished George Orwell's was it
84?
84. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god.
Like right around here.
Wow, bro. It's like pretty much for people who have not read that, George Orwell's 1984 depicts exactly what we're going through and have been going through for the past year. And it's only escalating to pretty soon. I fear it'll go to what the book writes about. But anyways, yeah, man, it's high strangeness. You know, you were talking about with all these pictures that come out. You know, you're absolutely right, because you know the variation between the sizes, the looks, like the I think it was a juvenile. The juvenile Sasquatch that I saw, I liken it most like to like the OG Planet of the Apes. That's what I saw. Like that human ape roundish like face is what I mainly like the picture of my podcast, that roundish like, that's kind of like what I saw, like almost identical actually. And it's 100% different than Patty. Like that, it's not what Patty looked like at all. And you know, and I know that was like a juvenile, quote unquote, juvenile versus an adult, but still, there. I mean, the facial structure wouldn't, in my mind, wouldn't change that much, you know. So I don't know, man.
And you think it was the mother that touched you, right? It wasn't the juvenile that touched you.
I don't know. So I don't know. I just had like a warming sensation come over me, and I don't know if it was the juvenile or, which I highly doubt, it was just a juvenile sitting around there, you know, just out by itself. Don't foresee that being the case, which kind of tells me there was more Sasquatch around, which makes me wonder which one was blasting me, was with infrasound. And I think I've told you this. I'm 50-50 on whether I experience infrasound, because I'm half sold because of the light switch of emotion flip, like that came over me. That's not natural whatsoever. I've never had that happen before in my life, and I've never heard of anybody having that happen outside of a Sasquatch experience. And then the visual, the blur, this Sasquatch moved back behind the trees so fast it was a blur. You know, there was no sound, there was no noise involved. And so the light switch of emotion is what sells me on that 50% of, oh, I had an interdimensional experience. But then after going into it and researching it, really deep diving it, because it messed with my head hardcore, you know, and for the past 2 years I've been studying on this, and or give or take. And I have also learned that what kind of crazy high strangeness things we can see that our brains cause us to see under extreme tension and high stress moments. So I don't know, dude. I don't. It's left in one of those unknown categories, which is why I'm still even more eager. Even though I've seen something, I need to verify what I saw. You know, I do research, and I compare notes and get ideas from like Cliff and Connor Anderson. But if I was to get footage on my dash cam of a Sasquatch going across the road, my first instinct is not going to be put it on the internet. Like, I don't care. You know, I mean, I do care, but that my goal for research and my goal for podcasts is not fame. I was just talking about this with someone the other day. I would refuse money if someone was to offer me money for something like that. So I don't feel it would be warranted. You know what I mean? It was a right place, right time, and to sell something like that, I feel like would be selling their trust. because I feel like there's a trust connection there. And 2 times I violated the trust, and both times I've been screamed at and or scared crapless. Like one of the times, the first time I took a branch twist off of a tree to take and then I ended up getting touched in my tent that night. And then the second time, or no. Oh yeah, no. And then the second time was I up at the spot. I left 6 eggs on a dead stump in this clearing out of the forest where there's no way that they don't hang out up there, and trying to get them up in that spot because it's about 2,000 yards away from my camp. So if they make any noise, it's going to be right there. And one night they did. Me and 2 of my other friends were up there. It was like 2:30 in the morning, and we clearly heard whoop, 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 like back and forth. And my adrenaline started pumping. And so I was whoop, whoop, back, and everything just stopped, silent. And the next day I went up there, and there was 2 eggs on the ground, one right on the bottom part of the stump, and one like that. It looked like it had rolled down the hill. And then everything else, so there was still 4 different eggs up on the stump. Now, here's how I know that it wasn't it didn't fall. The stump is about 4 feet off the ground, and it's like a hillside, so there's like rocks everywhere. It's hard ground. If those 2 eggs fell off that stump, they would have cracked and broke. Like, no doubt. They're eggs, The ground is not soft. But I had one stick pointing directly up, and then a stick going over the top of it, over the eggs, and then I put a leaf here and one leaf on one side and a leaf right here. So it was like a little A-frame over the eggs. And I got back, dude, and that A-frame was still there, but the eggs were off of the stump. And so I'm wondering if they were like, this dude left eggs here, and then as soon as we start getting excited about it, he scares us off. What the hell? Because since then, I hadn't heard anything. And I spent another 2 nights up there, whereas before that, almost every single night I had heard something. Almost every single night. But now, it could have been nature, a night bird or something. But I haven't heard those same noises since then. So, I don't know. Exactly.
That's crazy. And just hearing instruments deep in the forest and them messing with eggs and them not breaking on the ground, so they're like dropping them softly, or do they have some kind of special power that they have a barrier real quick? They just drop an egg and it can just drop softly, like they have that perfect touch. You've heard the precision. They can literally throw a spear or a pebble or a rock, hundreds of yards, like, but better than any man on earth with perfect precision. So somehow they have like perfected everything in nature, man. It's really cool. But yeah, you have to respect them, because if you steal from them, they're gonna mess with you, man. And yeah, you have some balls for going up there alone and spending the night, man.
I can tell you, it's definitely sketchy and scary at times.
I can imagine, man. Stay locked and loaded and ready to go 100%. Just for the simple fact of, big cat and bear.
Yeah, well, and there's such a dude, I'm telling you, man, I was just talking to Casey about this last night. There's such a weird energy about the place. Like, I've always been susceptible to feeling different styles or types of energy, like negative, positive, all these different types that I've encountered throughout life. And it's like it's a high strangeness, weirdness feeling. That's the only way I can explain it. It's like I said, a lot of lore up there says it's like there's a lot of Native American lore with like Indian burial grounds, Sasquatch lore, Wendigo, like spirits, and it's crazy, man. I was just talking about a story to Connor last night about some forestry workers who were supposed to meet up with somebody. And they were walking down this abandoned road when there's fires. You know, they were there to fire check wildfire spot and put out, you know, create fire lines and stuff. And it was like it was nighttime and it was on Mount Hood. It was like in the 80s, I think, 70s or 80s. And so 3 forest workers are walking this road because they're supposed to meet up with someone else. And they're walking this road, and about, you know, a few hundred yards ahead of them, they see this figure appear, like coming out of the darkness, like starting to come closer to them. And it gets closer and closer and closer, and they're yelling at this with who they think it's this guy who they're meeting up with. They think it's this dude. They're yelling his name, and he's not replying. And it gets closer and closer, and they get to the point where they're like, well, it's obviously not this dude. Maybe it's some random guy. And they get like 100 yards away from him, and it's dark enough to where they could only make out a figure up until this point. And at like 100 yards, they finally are able to see like his face is like facing down to the ground. He's got his head down. He's been walking this road the whole time, and he lifts his head up, and he has no face, just darkness. And he's still walking closer to them this whole time. And they're just frozen stiff, like watching this. And this figure get closer and closer, 60, 50 yards, 40 yards, 30 yards. And it gets like 20 yards away, 20 or 30 yards away. And the story goes that 3 people are here. You know, they're standing here. Someone's like coming up right here, and it just down into the ground. Like it just, like in the movies, dude, like it just gets sucked. Just like, boom, gone. And that story took place within a few miles, I guess, of where I'm at. So
I've heard so many stories on Mount Hood, man. You know, portals, people being sucked into the granite rocks, caves, people waking up like in Mount Hood after going in a cave in like Pennsylvania. Dude, it is so crazy. So definitely stay safe, man. Yeah, because there's Wendigo, Bigfoot, Dogman, Titans, elves, fairies, you know, it all, man. That's a prime location, and I'm jealous, but I'm also very scared for you too.
Yeah, yeah. All right, brother. Well, I'll take off here. But is there anything else you'd like to say to the listener before we depart?
Well, I'm thankful for the world bringing us back together again. I can't wait for the trilogy episode. Well, it will actually be our 4th episode because the one episode got messed up to audio that we recorded. Do you remember that one?
I do remember that.
But yeah, man, I'm very thankful for being here again. And I hope that you know, you're on Horror Talk in the next few weeks, and we can chop it up, and I get to ask the questions, and I can just be quiet and let you talk all of it. It will be awesome, you know, because I'm a loudmouth, and it's nice to shut me up once in a while. And you have so much knowledge and great experiences that I love listening. You heard it on that one comment. I'm a good listener too. That lady said it. But yeah, man, I definitely appreciate you spreading the word about the other shows too, because it is my body of work, and that's what's so cool. Like each interview is different, and it touches on different bases, and it influences different things, and communities come together. I hope you could get up with, you know, Ninja Ronnie and Tristan from Hidden Reality, and Cameron, and just hear their side of it, because you're definitely on the same wavelength as them and us, and it all comes together, man. So I definitely appreciate it. If anybody is somewhat interested to what I'm talking about, Eerie Swamps, Road Trip to Eden, Connor Flynn, Bigfoot Anonymous on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. Tell your mom, tell your uncle, Big Brother, Bigfoot, Monsters and Mystery around the corner, Zillafoot. Look out for Zillafoot Part 2. The giant bone. I hope we get it tested here soon, but it's just cool to be a part of it, man. A lot of comments were like, you should wear gloves. Guys, it's a million years old. I think it can survive my dirty fingernails for a couple more years. So let's just keep on the right path, and, you know, keep your eyes wide open. And I'm glad you're doing your thing, and I'm doing my thing, and hopefully everybody else can keep up, because it's truly inspiring that you're up there on a mountain, one of the most dangerous places in the world. You got balls, man, cojones, being out there alone. It's truly magical. And thank you for the care package, dude. That was so cool. The hoodie, I hope you saw it in a couple of the interviews. You know, I did a couple of investigations. The very first time I ever wore the hoodie, I met our Van Quest. They're a very cool Instagram couple that is like famous on TikTok too. And then I investigated. What's funny is I actually investigated that hooded Sasquatch when I was wearing the green hoodie. So it all connects. And then I also did the Bear Creek Beast on 231 about 30 years ago. These kids saw a gray Sasquatch, and I was wearing the gray Sasquatch shirt. And it's so funny. I was at Infinity Con, and they were asking me about the shirt, and they're like, "Oh, a museum?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's in Oregon." They're like, "Where in Oregon?" I'm like, "Boring." They're like, "Where?" I'm like, "Boring. That's what the town's called." They didn't know what the heck I was talking about. So it's truly amazing. This is a cool drawing. This is from the Ocheesee Pond. This is from 1981. A 9-year-old drew this. 1981. He never even saw Sasquatch, and he drew this after an encounter. Pretty wild. I highly suggest everybody look at MetaZoo. It's the next Pokemon, and it has Sasquatch, Pukwudgie, Mothman. It's very cool. This is my flyer from Infinity Con Tallahassee, guys. Get out there. Go talk to people. It's truly amazing. Thank you for sending me this Sasquatch guidebook, and it got autographed by Cliff, Connor, and Melissa. Thank you.
Yeah,
I can't wait to talk to you next month, and it was really cool. Go check out the movie Monstrous. It's about the Beast of Whitehall. Strange Wilderness, a really funny comedy. The Trail of Bigfoot, Seth Breedlove. He's from the 330. I'm from the 330. It's a beautiful thing. The Wolfman, Benicio del Toro. Predator, another Bigfoot one. Lord of the Rings, the most famous Bigfoot movie. Honey Island Swamp, guys. It's right outside New Orleans. Please check it out. It is a bucket list place. Guys, even in the comic books say it. Wolverine became friends with a female Sasquatch in Exiles. It's right there. Thanks again for the pamphlet about the Oregon information. Got this one from a library. And then my final little prop and show off. This is the field guide to Bigfoot stick structures. It talks about ground glyphs and everything. The guy that runs I Know Sasquatch is the author. $6. You can get a copy and it's autographed. Come on, guys. Everybody should do it. Right back here, I have the replica footprint of Patty, the original one with the dirt and everything. Really cool. Got the poster of Zillafoot, and I hope the next movie I'm part of really takes off because, man, it's really cool spreading my knowledge on the big screen.
Yeah.
I got to design the set too, and there was a chalkboard in the background, and I drew a bunch of information. It's really cool, man. Very cool.
Dude, that's so awesome. I'm so excited for you, dude. You got some crazy stuff going on all over the place. So there's all sorts of different avenues for people to check out your stuff. So there's no excuses, people. Check it out.
I agree, man. That's what I do. And I also make rap music and play guitar. Steve Flynn, Connor Flynn with an A. Steve Flynn. Look it up on YouTube or look it up on rapgenius.com. I got over 500 songs with all the lyrics. Everybody picked me apart because I made hip hop growing up, but clearly I was just an author trying to put my words out. You know, I wasn't able to publish a book when I was in middle school, so I had to make music. Like, that's your way. So it's just so crazy that people want to, you know, bash me down and try to break me. You know what? Let me play a quick song on guitar.
Yes.
Well, I'm so sick of the people making fun of me because I taught myself guitar. Well, I made it for the campfire, and this is the campfire. So listen to it. History repeats, but it's about her. All right. There's a nighttime in her eyes, and she comes alive. There's moonlight in her blood, and she does it real good. The monster in the swamp can smell her coming. It's hell of the op. You better get to running. There's nighttime in her eyes, and she comes alive. Fireflies in the sky when she dances around the fire. The stars shine bright, but they stare down in desire. The one they chose to tell her no never came back, never told a soul. There's nighttime in her eyes, she comes alive. So yeah, when I'm out in the forest playing the ocarina and my crappy, untuned guitar, I'm trying to channel the ancients. And Jim Morrison went to Florida State before he went to UCLA. Saw these hip hop snobs and rock and roll heads. Man, if you ain't about the love, then you gonna get left, bro. Cause I'm gonna smash you in the head with some love, knowledge, and these fists. Look it up. C. Flynn versus Craig Peters. YouTube it. I knocked the kid out in 6 seconds. He had to get plastic surgery. So if you want to get tough, I got a punching bag right there. We can get it, Lockbeard. You want it, you can get it, bro. But we gonna get it, man. That's what I'm all about.
What's that YouTube video?
C. Flynn versus Craig Peters. And it's a boxing match, an MMA match. We did backyard UFC. And I do a spinning back fist. And I break his face. And you can hear his face break. His mom tried suing me, but he outweighed me by 80 pounds, and he actually became a successful boxer. But yeah, man, a lot of people try challenging me to boxing matches and stuff. They think they're Logan Paul. They think I'm Jake Paul.
I just watched it.
Yup. And then the second one, I'm also 2-0. The second one, a guy made rap beef, and he should have beat me, man. He had me in a vulnerable position, and he didn't take me out. So about 25 seconds later, he gave up. TKO knockout.
Oh my god.
I'm all about peace and love, but martial arts is part of love, man. So they can get it. Tai Chi. I don't even have to hit you. Keanu Reeves taught me well.
Yeah, okay, everyone, if you want to watch this video, that's awesome. If you type in CFLYNN 33ISABOSS.
C. Flynn 33 is a boss. Yeah, that's my first YouTube, I think, when I was like 14. Knocking out punks.
Dude, this is awesome. You got all sorts of awesome stuff on here. You got a music video? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I gotta check this out so I can. Oh, do you care if I highlight some of your stuff on this podcast episode before?
No, I'd love to, man. That would be awesome.
I was thinking about going to YouTube. You said you had some music up, so maybe like snagging some of that for the background for the interview.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I got guitar songs and rap songs, 100%.
Oh, I guess we'll end this for the podcast. All right, brother. Well, thank you for coming on again. Thank you for coming on again. It was an awesome time.
Bro. Yeah, time flies by.
Absolutely, and I'll look forward to having you on a roundtable with Casey and some other people here in the next few months.
Yeah, that'll be super dope. And you should definitely I could get you in touch with Tristan and Ronnie. Ronnie he's never done interviews, but you make people feel comfortable, so he might be open to it. But Tristan, he definitely wants to do it, and he has a handful of encounters and good information, and it would be cool, the bridge between all of us. So it would be cool. And then Gypsy Road, he's in New York right now. He's actually leaving for New York right now. But once he's back home, get you on Horror Talk, and then you being local, I'm sure he'll want to link up. He's going to be going to the Emerald City Comic-Con here soon too, so I know you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I know exactly where that is. Yeah, man. I like I said, I'd love to chat some stuff up. That's why I'm changing up the one of the reasons I'm changing up the format of my interviewing, because I'm trying to make it more like a conversation. like we're just hanging out talking, and it just so happens that little recording button icon is up in the upper left screen. You know what I mean? Like
100%. And that's how it feels 100%.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome. That's what I'm trying to get at. All right, brother. Well, I will talk to you very soon. Like I said, I'll let you know as soon as I get this thing put together.
Yeah, man. Keep me posted on everything too, and yeah, send me some pictures for sure.
And that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to share, rate, and review this podcast. More ratings and reviews means better material for you, the listener, and it helps me come up with new episode materials and different directions to take this show. So please be sure to leave a quality rating and kind review. It would mean a lot to me. Today's interview was fun to conduct, and I always love catching up with Bigfoot Anonymous. So special thanks to my friend and researcher, Connor Flynn. Thanks for the interview, buddy. I'll have part 2 published by next week, so keep your eyes out for that. Well, before I let you go, always remember, love yourself, love each other, be kind, be safe, and until next time.
What the fuck? 3 eyes. Boys the Buddha, this ain't hookah. Hit the shit a few times, you might see the future. You might see the future, you might see the future. Hit the kush a few times, you might see the future. Boys the Buddha, this ain't hookah. Hit the shit a few times, you might see the future. You might see the future, you might see the future. Hit the herb a few times, you might see the future.
Never smoke hookah, only burn Buddha. And I keep it rolling like I'm riding on a scooter. Bumping black hippie, feeling like a hippie. Only time run if the cops come and get me, cause I'm right round, I'm getting it with a hottie from my city that's breaking down sticky and rolling up with me. I know you loving this while I'm loving that, and you loving your bitch while she bumping this rap. True, like I got 2 chains up on my neck. I'm coming for your neck if you yelling out boo. I promise you are screwed, you shoulda knew. I'm coming for you next, and I'm smoking on that Keisha, smoking on that gas, smoking on that perk, smoking on that hash, lighting up that green, sipping on that lean, thinking about a dream for me and my team, and you know what I mean. It's all about cream, like I said in my last song, IDC, and I hope you feel me. If not, you a loser. Better hit this Buddha, take a look to the future.
Boys the Buddha, this ain't hookah. Hit the shit a few times, you might see the future. You might see the future, you might see the future. Hit the L a few times, you might see the future. Boys the Buddha, this ain't hookah. Hit the shit a few times, you might see the future. You might see the future, you might see the future. Hit the J a few times, you might see the future.
Mind a little hazy, but the message is clear. I can see it in my eyes when I look into the mirror. In the ocean, in the waves, when I'm standing on the pier. In the woods all alone, I stand with no fear, cause I'm never gonna stop. Always stay high, cause the world's so low, and I gotta get by, so I'm rolling up widow, rolling up the window. Not a shark yet, but I'm more than a minnow. Many fish in the sea, many places to be, like girls to meet, but not shit free, so I gotta get it anyway, necessary, legendary, talking absol, unnecessary roughness. Puff this, kush every single day, help me function, it's nothing. So keep it like that, and hit the blunt once and pass it right back.
Boys the Buddha, this ain't hookah. Hit the shit a few times, you might see the future. You might see the future, you might see the future. Hit the spliff a few times, you might see the future. Boys the Buddha, this ain't hookah. Hit the the shit a few times, you might see the future. You might see the future. You might see the future. Hit the piff a few times, you might see the future.
2013 might only be a dream. It's hard to believe could be the END. If the minds were right, we better start a scheme. Cause a man with no plan is RIP. But that's not me, not for me. Flynn is ready for anything, anything, anything. Flynn is ready for anything.